So I wanted to give an update for this month because we've been waiting to see what the different outcomes are that are going on that has to do with our interest rate. And I've been hearing a lot of talk lately about, oh, I'm just waiting for the market to crash. I want it to be like it was back in '08. And so I wanted to go over a little bit of data on that because that is what is going to help everyone understand what's happening in our market. So when it comes to this chart here, what we're showing you is the National Association of Realtor data is in 2007, we had active listings. We had over 4 million active listings. As of 2023, we're around 1.1 million listings. And the distressed sales in the pipelines were massive back then. But now it's just not a thing that we are seeing at all. So that is why when home sales crashed, that's why when people keep thinking that the home sales are going to crash and they're going to keep falling, but pricing isn't crashing. So the home sales price is crashing, but not the pricing. It's not crashing because of the low inventory. So that's where people are not understanding the differences. They just see that that there's a higher interest rate, so people can't buy, and affordability, so everything's going to crash. But the statistics and the numbers are not showing that. Also, on our active listings, a lot of what has added to that is the new builders were not putting their homes on the MLS, but now they are. So that's what you're kind of seeing in these charts. So I like to show people because there's a lot of discussion right now of what to do when it comes to the interest rate. So I'll talk about that a little later, but I want to talk about my next chart for you. I feel like these graphics just kind of help show things a little better for you. So this is some encouraging news when you look at this one. The share of the U.S. mortgage fell into serious delinquencies, representing borrowers who had 3 months on late payments, dropped to the lowest level that it has in nearly 25 years in August to a 0.09. Nationwide, overall mortgage delinquencies 2.6 and foreclosure 0.3% also remain near a historic low, a clear sign that most U.S. homeowners currently cover their monthly payments. But as interest rates have approached the 8% that they did in October, more prospective buyers could not purchase a house, so they had to be kind of sidelined. So a factor that makes the timing and the housing market critical to building your long-term wealth. So why is that important? When we also talk about, the market crashing, foreclosures, delinquencies, we're seeing that at an all-time historic low. So that's something that you need to look at as well, because that will show you what's going on in our industry. So when we talk a little bit more about delinquencies, the reports by CoreLogic, so the share of U.S. buyers borrowers, I should say, who were in serious mortgage delinquency 90 days or more dropped to a 0.09% in August. And that was the lowest recorded since January of 1999. The overall national mortgage delinquency rate 30 days more or late was at a 2.6 in August, which was also, like I just discussed, a historic low. So we have a serious delinquency on decline. So that's where you're seeing too. People are making their mortgage payments. So we're not having a delinquency where we're going to see a bunch of foreclosures coming just because people are making those payments. And I think on that too, one, their payments are probably cheaper because they have lower interest rate. And two, people who lived through the crash, a lot of those are much more serious buyers now. So they want to make sure they're not going to lose their home. So they base it on what they purchased, their equity, and by far cheaper than them renting and having to move from place to place. So that makes a big difference. And then next I want to talk about the mortgage rate moving from 7 to 8% since July, which that means around 5 million fewer households would qualify for a $400,000 mortgage. So the potential borrower pool has now shrunk to a negative 56% since 2021 when the rate was 3%. So mortgage rates moving, you can see that that's why we're seeing more on the market because our buyer pool has had to slow down just because of the rate. So what does that mean? That really means that as it goes back down, there's going to be a larger pool of people purchasing the housing. So what does that mean? It's that the prices aren't going down. It means that we're going to go back into a frenzy when they start lowering that price and we get back into, in my opinion, the fives, that we're going to start seeing that again. And then we're going to be back to, paying overprice or multiple offers. The key is just like, when is that going to happen? So if you're thinking about, or someone thinking about wanting to buy a house, you're kind of in that position now that you have to make a decision. So the decision is, do I wait and then I'm competing with others because we have 50 million people waiting to get back into that price range? Or if I can afford it, do I purchase a house now, wait for the rates to drop down, and then as long as I have equity in my house and I keep my credit and everything the same, I refinance that or streamline that depending on what type of loan program you're on, so that I'm not competing with others. And that I've seen a lot on the discussion boards lately of people just having questions about that. And in my opinion, here's the thing. If, because I'm big about don't become house poor, because that's big too. That's how people lose their homes, is if you're house poor, meaning that most of your paycheck goes to your house. So if you lost your job or something happened to you and you weren't able to work, you could lose that home or become delinquent on your loan. So you never want to be in that position. So what you want to do is, if you can afford the payment and it's comfortable and it's within your budget, then is now a better time? Yes, because you're going to get to pick out the house. You have sellers helping you pay for closing cost fees. You have some of those fees might help be buying down the rate for you, whether it's the entire time or just for a couple of years. And you're getting your inspections done. It's just, there's so many, we're back to the way it used to be on a normal sale. So on that part of it, that's kind of what you get to do. If you wait, then you're going to go back to how we were the last couple of years, and you're in a frenzy and you're paying more and you need more money out of pocket. And that starts making people frustrated as well, because for the last 2 years, they probably couldn't get a house. And rent is continuing to go up every single year. Now, is some rent cheaper right now than it is to buy? Yes. But here's the thing that you have to always remember when it comes to real estate. Real estate is always an investment. Yes, it's your home. Real estate goes up and it goes down. We've seen that if you lived through the crash and then prior to the crash. And so the interesting thing on that, and a great example, is one of our current houses. In this market, we purchased an investment property. It was a great deal. And in the last year, it's gone up $70,000 to $100,000. So not only am I paying a higher rate, yes, the investment is being covered obviously through the people who are renting the property, but also I'm not competing with anyone. I would not have gotten this house in the crazy market for the price that I did. And then also I've already gained equity in it. So when the market does dip, I could put that on the market, or the market does dip. No. When the interest rate dips, I could put that on the market. I'm probably going to make even more money on it. And I'm also in the process of purchasing another property, because this is the time of the lull where you have time to look at the property, inspect properties, run your numbers on those properties, and see if it works for you or not. Whether that's because you have such a low interest rate in your current house, you decide you want to take that and rent it and make a profit, and then go purchase another house. And yes, you're paying a little more, but that profit from the renter may be helping you offset that so you can get the house or the area that you want. Or it could be that your house, you have lots of equity and you'd like to pull a little bit out and purchase an investment property, if that makes sense. Anytime you're doing these things, you have to make sure it makes sense and the numbers are there. And that's why I always like to help educate you and run those numbers. I've told several, nope, that investment property that you like doesn't work. You're not going to make the money on that one. But doesn't mean we're not going to find a different property that you would make the money on. So you always have to keep that in mind when you're looking to purchase a property. But when it comes to the foreclosing or a major dip, I really don't see that happening. A lot of what we're seeing come down a little bit, it's not that big of a reduction. It's just more based on the interest rate and the buyer pool. Then this is the area you have to be in for people to afford it. So it comes down to affordability on those properties right now until the rate drops. But, exciting times when the rate drops if you own that property. So then next I want to talk about is while transactions are still occurring every single day in the U.S. housing market, housing, it just never stops. So existing home sales are presumably right now about as low as they can go. And so we're going to check out what Morgan Stanley's researchers wrote last week to the investors. Rapidly deteriorating affordability in this cycle has already caused a significant decrease in housing activity, specifically existing home sales, but that has left national home prices more or less unscathed. As we have detailed in numerous research reports, the biggest reason is the lock-in effect. Homeowners have not experienced a decline in affordability. They have locked in low fixed mortgage rates for 30 years that have simply de-incentivized them from listing their homes for sale. So the percentage of share of outstanding mortgages by interest rate, I found that this was fascinating. So most outstanding mortgages have a rate below 6%. So as you see on here, greater than 6% is 3.7. 5.3% of people have a mortgage between 5 and 6%. 20% of people have a mortgage between 4 and 5%. 44.7% of home buyers nationally have a rate between 3 and 4%, and 26% have it at least 3% or less. Why is that important? When people talk about the market crashing or they're waiting for that, the market is not crashing when we have this many people who have, one, so much equity in their home, they're not going to give that up. They'd sell it before they had to just give it to the bank and foreclose. And two, they have such low mortgage interest rate that their payment is so low that it doesn't make sense for them to move to another house right now and double their payment, unless they're thinking more they want to have it as an investment property, and now's the time for them to pull some equity and put some down on another property and use that one as an Airbnb or a long-term rental. That's the key that you have to think about. It's not about foreclosure right now. It's more the homeowners have no incentive to move because they're comfortable at the payment they're at. And when they see those payments, it makes them nervous. So you have to think about, what are you going to do with that equity or with that growth when it comes to your next home purchase? And then keeping an eye on, if I purchase that, as long as the market stays and then it starts to uptip again, then I could refinance. A lot of loans allow you to refinance after 6 months. It depends on the loan program. And as long as your credit, your debt to income, and you have equity in the home, then you can qualify for that. And that's through your lender. And that's who I would talk to. But obviously, when you're going to buy another property, and go over all of your options before that, so you truly understand what you're doing. I run numbers all the time to see if a deal works. A lot of times it's a no, but 1 out of 100, the right opportunity is there, and then I will take it. Doesn't matter what market it's in. My first house was 8.5%. We've had down as low as, I think, 3%. And in between, we've bought houses, left somebody, where someone's renting it. Some we buy, some we sell, some we fix up and sell. I mean, there's so many different ways to grow wealth in real estate. You just have to make sure you financially understand what you're doing, and that long term, you can hold on to that. So the other factor right now is the unemployment rate. The last time I checked, I did not check this week, but it was at 3.8%. So only one of the many things you have to pay attention to when it comes to the housing market, because the unemployment rate is also at an all-time low. So they take the unemployment today versus the great financial crisis and the 75-year average. And as you can see here, 2008 to 2012, unemployment was at 8.3. Then when it was the 75-year average, it was at 5.7%. And right now, we're at 3.8%. And honestly, in my opinion, it would be going down. We hear layoffs happening. A lot of times, that's not unusual. Tech companies, large financial companies are probably doing layoffs because they don't have as many loans to close or that type of thing. And also, thousands of people jumped into real estate and into the financial world and all of that when the market is hot, and they all jump out when it starts slowing down. That's why they ebb and flow. And that's why we're always asking, when someone's talking about choosing an agent, are they working with a full-time agent who's been doing this for so many years that we've seen this, we've rode this, we're still investing in it. That's the thing that you want to watch for. And there's so many companies here who can't even get people to work. I see so many jobs posted every single day. And half the places I go to that are with small businesses, they're all looking for people to work. The biggest issue we're having with that right now is when COVID hit, people have gotten comfortable wanting to work from home. But a lot of the businesses went back to in the office and people didn't want to do that. So now they have to find other jobs, or some of the offices have realized they can do that from home and they don't need as many people. So there's a mix of that going on right now, but we are not lacking places for people to work. It's just a choice of people wanting to do it or not wanting to do it. That's really the biggest piece we're seeing right now. So I know this was a little long, but I feel like I wanted to update you on everything going on so you could understand what's happening in our market. You know, what you see on TV or what you see people posting, it's nonstop. And a lot of times it's just to grab attention. And it's based per city. What's happening in each city, what's going on, and then you can make a decision of what you see. But as always, I am an open book. Anytime you have questions or you have someone who has questions, I am always here to answer those. I'm honest with you. I've probably told a lot of you no this year that it doesn't make sense because I want you to grow your wealth in real estate. That's what I do this for. It's not, yes, this is my career, but my career and my passion are making sure that if you want to build wealth in real estate, that we're here to help guide you on that and give you our opinion. Do I know that it's not going to crash? No. But am I on meetings every single week and all of these nationally to make sure we're paying attention to what's going on? I mean, I've got my own money in my retirement at stake, so I have to be diligent on what's happening in our market. But I also want to make sure if you are ever struggling, talk to me so we can go over what your options are. We never want you to be struggling to the point where you cannot make your payments and you're going to lose the house. Then let's go over all of your options. I think most people have equity in their house, so you should not have to do that. If in the last couple of years you've purchased and life has happened and it's tight, then we go over what are the things we can do. Can we rent it out for you? Can we is there a way that someone could take over the mortgage depending on the type of loan it is? So we do have the options for you. So I just wanted to reach out and let you know that, and just make sure you know anytime you are not bothering me or you're talking to someone and they have questions, I could talk about real estate all day long. So I don't mind at all. So I wish all of you an amazing, amazing Thanksgiving. Make sure that you read the rest of our newsletters that go out once a month. Might be going out twice a month as we get a little more information, but right now it's once a month. So thank you guys.